and welcome to today's video. I wanted to talk about the correlation between substance abuse and blindness. According to a very quick, unofficial Google search, 40% of people who are visually impaired experience some sort of substance abuse. And in general, people who are visually impaired are at a higher risk to experience substance abuse. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about that from my own personal experience. And this video is definitely going to be a little bit more vulnerable for me. So just remember, this is a judgment-free zone, just sharing from my own personal experience, because I think that I am truly not alone. I think that my experience is something that a lot of other people have probably experienced and can relate to. At least I'm hoping that's the case. And if you're someone who hears my story and relate to it, please leave a comment and let me know. So when I was 8, I was diagnosed with glaucoma, and I didn't use substances until I was 22. So there was a very large window of time where my vision impairment and substance use were not coinciding. And when I was 22, after going through a variety of experiences that ultimately resulted in complex PTSD, I mentioned in a previous video my experience with medical PTSD and trauma. So with the medical PTSD and with a variety of other traumatic experiences, at 22, I found myself being geared towards using substances as a coping mechanism. And for a while, it was a really effective coping mechanism. And during that time, I started to realize that I was better able to cope with the anxiety, the fear, the depression that all came with being visually impaired and being scared to navigate independently, being afraid of what the future was going to hold, being afraid of going blind, being afraid of losing more vision. And all of those thoughts that were constantly running through my brain, it was like, oh, substances alters that, so that now I'm starting to feel more positively. And it was honestly a really effective escape from the negativity that I'd really been trapped in for a very long time. Being in my 20s, it also was a source of connection and how I really strengthened a lot of my social bonds during that time. And the substances helped me feel more confident, less anxious, because being visually impaired, often in a room full of people, I'm feeling very isolated, disoriented. I struggle to show up in the social interactions in the way that I'd like to, because I'm uncertain of where people are, who's who, and trying to navigate all of that is so overwhelming. And I realized that substances made that navigating process a little bit easier, and that liquid courage went a long way. However, what started as a somewhat effective coping mechanism quickly turned very ineffective, and the depression that I already was experiencing from being visually impaired was heightened, because some substances will do that, and alcohol is a depressant. So with increased drinking came increased feelings of depression. And for a multitude of factors, I reached a point where I felt extremely depressed and extremely hopeless about the future. And so substances was a source to destruct, to self-destruct, self-sabotage, because I reached this point of thinking like, my life is only going to get worse. I have glaucoma. I'm only going to likely lose more vision, and that will lead to my life getting worse. And these negative thoughts and these depressive thoughts really took hold, and substances was a way to sort of add fuel to the self-destructive thinking and feeling that I was already in. And I'm really not ready to go into all the details now, and maybe it is something I will open up more about in the future on this channel, especially if it's something you're interested in hearing more about. But substances really became a major issue in my life at a point where it was causing serious harm, serious damage to relationships, to my goals, to my health. And it sort of took life teaching me that it is worth living, finally getting myself into a career where I feel empowered and stable, a relationship where I feel so loved and stable. A lot of that was the significant pieces of the puzzle that I needed to find the healing, to be able to let go of the coping mechanism that was substances. And now I have more effective coping mechanisms. I'm eternally grateful for the place that I'm at today, because it has just taken a lot of grace, a lot of forgiveness, and a lot of undeserved blessings to get here. And part of the healing that I'm doing right now is also forgiving myself for relying unhealthily on substances during a lot of this journey of my life of trying to figure out how I was going to become a successful, stable, independent adult while also being somebody who is visually impaired. Trying to navigate all of that is a lot, and I certainly am learning to give myself grace for it. And if you can connect to any aspect of my story, I hope that you're able to give yourself grace as well. And so please leave a comment, start some conversation. And thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video.